Okay, thank you for having me. Thank you for attending, and thank you for choosing this topic. If you noticed in the flyer, 83% of US workers experience work-related stress, so this topic is relevant to most of us. So I'm going to be talking about stress in the workplace and some strategies to cope with that. Um, oh, now it's not letting me go again. Okay. As mentioned, I'm from Capital Health Behavioral Health. We have two locations, Bordentown and Newtown. We offer a variety of services. We do medication management, TMS, individual psychotherapy, and group therapy. Those are a list of the groups that are actually starting within the month. So if anyone is interested in more information or maybe attending one of the groups, please feel free to reach out to our practice to get information. Okay, quickly just want to distinguish the difference between mental health and stress. They are two different things, but they do affect each other. Mental health is our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It is fluid. It can change over time depending on life situations and experiences, and it helps determine how we handle stress. So stress can affect our mental health, and mental health can affect how we deal with stress. What is stress? Stress is our body's reaction to change. It's usually because we feel pressure or threatened. We feel like we can't manage or control the situation, so our body has a reaction. Stress is actually necessary for human survival. I know a lot of people say, I want to completely get rid of stress. I want to completely get rid of anxiety, but we actually don't want to do that completely. Stress and anxiety are ways for our brain to notify our body that something is happening and that we need to act on that. We need to do something about it. So stress can become problematic when there's no relief or there's no period of relaxation. This is a visual representation of what happens. Our brain will perceive a threatening situation. It'll send a notice to another part of our brain, which will then signify the rest of our body through stress hormones. And that is when we will start to feel some changes. Maybe your heart starts beating rapidly, you start sweating or shaking. Maybe you find that you can't focus or you have a headache. That's notification that something is happening and your body is trying to tell you something. There's acute and chronic stress. The main difference is the time frame. Acute stress is usually short term, within a few minutes to a few hours. Sometimes it can feel very intense because the time frame is so short. Um, an example of acute stress would be you're driving home from work today and you come across a car accident and traffic is at a standstill. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't control the situation, but you start to feel stressed because maybe you're going to be late for something or it's just kind of affecting your plans for that day. Accident clears up, traffic starts moving in an hour, you get home, stress ends. There's a beginning and a quick end to that situation and to that stress. Chronic stress is stress that lasts longer or stress that keeps coming back. An example of that, I'm going to use illness, like a cancer diagnosis, maybe. There's a lot of stress that could be involved in that for various reasons, but that happens over time. Maybe you have to figure out a treatment plan, you get treatment over a couple of weeks, over a couple of months, you have follow-up appointments. That could span, who knows, months to years for some people. It's not every day you might feel stress, but it comes and goes depending on what's happening with that situation. I mentioned a couple symptoms before, but here are some more. This is not an exhaustive list. There are actually a bunch of symptoms of stress. The top left bubble are physical symptoms like headaches, muscle aches, breathlessness, skin issues, fatigue. Below that are feelings associated with stress. You might find that you're more fussy, there's a loss in confidence, you're more irritable, you're depressed, you're apathetic, you're alienating yourself. Top right corner are mental emotional symptoms. You're more worried, your thinking is muddled, your judgment is impaired. You might have nightmares when you're sleeping, you're having trouble making decisions, or you're making impulsive decisions, and there's a lot more negativity in your life. And then below are behaviors associated with stress. Your libido lowers, you might find that you're more accident prone, you lose your appetite or you eat more, you start drinking more or smoking more as a coping mechanism, you start having trouble sleeping. Many people don't connect the physical symptoms with stress. A lot of people will have physical symptoms and then spend a lot of time and energy seeking medical treatment, only to get frustrated that they can't find a clear reason or a diagnosis for what is happening until they realize that those symptoms are related to stress. So just something to keep in mind if you're having any physical symptoms, it could be because of stress. On that note, there are some conditions that could develop as a result of chronic stress. Not an exhaustive list either. Depression, anxiety might seem like a no-brainer, but heart disease, diabetes, GI issues. GI issues are very common for people with stress and anxiety. I know someone who was diagnosed with IBS, had a lot of issues with that. She then changed jobs and her IBS went away completely. Had no idea that there was a connection between the stress at her previous job and her GI issues. Okay, common sources of work stress. Also not an exhaustive list. You probably can make your own list, but just some examples, concerns about job security, salaries, and maybe some financial insecurity, confrontation from customers, patients, even coworkers or supervisors, the amount of work that you're doing or the type of work, having to take on more tasks, if you can't find a work-life balance, lack of support, unclear expectations, and then having a lot of stuff happening outside of your work responsibilities on top of your work responsibilities. And so here's that statistic again, 83% of US workers face work-related stress and 54% believe home life is affected by that work stress. And just to recap, stress can cause mental health issues or make existing issues worse, and mental health issues can cause stress or make it difficult to cope with stress. So what can we do about it? The first couple of slides are what we can do about it while we're at work. And then I have one slide, what we can do outside of work to affect our work stress. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is mindfulness. I know that that word gets thrown around a lot these days. And I also noticed that a lot of people don't know what that actually means. Mindfulness is just noticing what is happening in the present moment without judgment. So that's noticing like what is happening inside of your body, what is happening inside of your mind, what is happening in the situation around you, and trying to process that without having any judgment or making any rash, impulsive decisions or reactions. Mindfulness is beneficial because it helps understand our emotions. It helps us cope better with difficult thoughts. It helps us to feel calmer, improves relationships, and it can improve attention and concentration. So 2 types of mindfulness exercises that I'm going to go over are breathing exercises and grounding exercises. First, I'm going to talk about breathing. So when we feel stress, our breathing rate and pattern changes, and that disrupts the balance of the body. When we're stressed or when we're anxious, we tend to take more shallow breaths, and that can make physical symptoms worse because that affects everything. It affects circulation, it affects what your heart is doing, it affects what your brain is doing. And so slow, deep breathing can activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for our ability to relax. So those deep breaths signal to our body that we're okay and that we are calm and it's okay. Okay, so I'm gonna go over 2 breathing exercises. The first one is pretty well known. It's called box breathing. And the concept is for a specific amount of time to breathe in and then hold and then breathe out and then hold again. And you can visualize the outside edges of a box while doing that. Um, there's no, there doesn't have to be rigidity in this. If you find that 4 seconds is a really long time for you to take deep breaths and hold breaths, please don't stress yourself out or make yourself more anxious. You can play with that number. But for the sake of today, we're going to do 4 seconds. Anyone that is willing or interested in participating, I'm going to give cues for 2 rounds. Just to get an idea of what it looks like, what it feels like for yourself, okay? So we're gonna breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and go back to your regular breathing patterns. The other breathing exercise is what we call physiological sigh. And it is essentially 2 shorter inhales followed by 1 longer exhale. I'm gonna show you, I know this is over Zoom, so I hope it can be received through video, but this is what it looks like, sounds like. So again, anyone that is willing to give it a try, I'm gonna give the cues and we're gonna try 2 rounds of this, okay? So we're gonna inhale, inhale, exhale. Inhale, inhale, exhale. Okay, back to regular breathing patterns. And so these breathing exercises can be really helpful in your day-to-day. It can also be helpful as a tool in those moments where you're starting to feel really stressed out at work, starting to get anxious. It's a way to help calm yourself down. I do recommend that if you are going to try to use it in those moments where you're really stressed, really anxious, to try to practice beforehand so that you're pretty well versed and it's part of your toolbox. It's really hard to try something new in those moments of high stress, high anxiety. Sometimes it's helpful to like tie it into an activity that you do on a regular basis. So maybe every time you go to the bathroom, you can do a couple box breathing sets. Or every time like you're driving in your car, if you drive in your car a couple times throughout the day, you can do a couple of sighs just to incorporate it with something that you're already doing to give you more practice. And then the other technique is what is referred to as the grounding techniques. Grounding exercises help us refocus our thoughts on the present moment to distract ourselves from any distressing feelings. So grounding is often used for people that are anxious and maybe start to feel like they're going to panic to prevent a panic attack. Some people use it in the middle of a panic attack. Some people use grounding techniques when they notice that their thoughts are starting to spiral in a negative direction and they need to refocus on something else. Grounding exercises usually use one or all of the senses. And so this one is called the 5-4-3-2-1 technique, and it uses all of the senses. It is what it says it is. And so in those moments, the goal is to find 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. Also, there does not need to be rigidity in this. If you find yourself in a situation and you're trying to do a grounding technique and you can only point out 2 things that you can hear, that's okay. Don't stress yourself out more. That's not the goal. Okay, what else can we do? Talking about it. A lot of times we hold stuff in, we hold feelings in, we hold thoughts in, and that can be problematic to our mental health, to our physical health. Those feelings can bubble and fester and come out inappropriately or come out at extremes, and we don't need that to happen. Talking is a good outlet. So if you have the ability to confide in a coworker or a friend, if you have the ability to address issues or concerns with management, that is recommended. I know sometimes that's not always, we don't always get what we want out of that. I think it's also important to note that nobody can read our minds. Nobody knows what we're thinking. We might think that it's so obvious that we're short-staffed and that you've taken on more work and you're stressed out and whatever, but it might be perceived completely differently to somebody else or to your boss. They might say, like, yeah, we're short-staffed, but Jane is getting the work done and she hasn't said anything about it, so it seems like everything is fine. So just don't assume that anyone knows what you're thinking or going through. With that, also try to limit negative interactions. Try to find a balance. I know it can feel really good to maybe talk some smack or vent or whatever, but if you are only engaging in negative interactions, that is going to have effect on your mood. Negativity is contagious. So even if you're not the one who is being negative all the time, if you're spending a lot of time with people who are constantly negative, that is going to affect your outlook, your mood, your mental health. So try to have a great balance. Try to incorporate some positivity. Yeah, you can vent and talk about issues, but also talk about something fun that you did over the weekend, or share funny videos or memes or whatever to have some kind of balance. Okay. I think we take for granted how important some of our basic needs are. We don't realize how eating and hydration and sleep and breaks can be for our mental and physical health. So when we don't eat, when we're not drinking water, when we're not sleeping well, that affects how we feel mentally and physically, and that only exacerbates stressful situations. So eat lunch, take your lunch breaks. If you don't like eating a full meal in the day, eat snacks throughout the day, drink water or something other than coffee, take your breaks. If you have the ability to have a 15-minute break, a lunch break, take your breaks, walk around, go outside, just take a step away from your work situation. Movement is really important, and I know that's the next part of our presentation, movement at work. Movement, I put a strong emphasis on movement because movement does a lot for your mental health. 15 minutes of physical activity can release the feel-good chemicals in your brain. So that is a pretty simple way of trying to feel good on a regular basis. Physical activity at work is going to be shown next, but physical activity can include all kinds of things. That can mean like running or lifting weights, but that can also mean like dancing or cleaning up your house or raking leaves or going on a hike, whatever works for your capabilities. Improving your workspace can add to a calmer, can be calming and make things more comfortable. I know that not everyone has the ideal workspace. Not everyone has an office or a cubicle. Sometimes we're floor nurses and we literally just have what is on our persons. So these are just suggestions for each of the senses. So all of these might not work specifically for you, but maybe you can get an idea of how you can bring one of these suggestions to whatever type of space you have. The first one is for sight. So if there's a way to affect the lighting where you work, fluorescent lighting is not great. If you can soften the lighting at all, maybe you can add pictures of your family or your friends or pets or places you've been, or pretty art or quotes or affirmations or stickers. Even if you don't have a workspace, maybe you can put pictures on like a folder that you carry around or on your water bottle, or if you have a locker, put it in your locker. Anything that can be nice to look at. For sound, if you have the ability to have a sound machine, you can play white noise, brown noise, all of those noises, they have calming effects. If you have the ability to play music throughout the day. If you don't have that ability, maybe once in a while, like every time you go to the bathroom, you could play a nice song on your phone or watch a funny video. Smell is hard in offices. If you have the ability to have a diffuser, have fresh flowers, sometimes it can be just carrying around lotion that smells good and putting the lotion on your hands or arms throughout the day. It can also be like spraying yourself with your favorite perfume or cologne on your wrists and then being able to smell that throughout the day. For touch, having a grounding object, that can be a stress ball, that can be one of those poppets, it can be a fidget spinner, it can be a rock, a pen, something soft, anything maybe to play with to refocus if you need to. And then for taste, having snacks available when you're hungry. Minty gum can have a calming effect. And sour candy is sometimes used as a grounding technique because it definitely activates the taste buds and it gets you to focus on something else besides what is happening in your head. And then use your PTO proactively. You've earned it, you deserve it. Everyone should be able to use it at some point throughout their year or however your PTO is dispersed. Try to avoid adding stress to yourself by putting yourself in situations where you're going to lose your PTO, because that's essentially just throwing money out, or situations where like you have to use X amount of days in the next X amount of days, and it's just stressful to think about how that can play out for you. So use it throughout the year, make long weekends, take a week off, go on vacation, have a staycation, whatever you need to do to take a break. Breaks are good, not just when you're sick, whenever. And then I just wanted to mention this briefly. I feel like our society has created this construct where productivity is seen as like a badge of honor. Like the more productive you are, the more successful you are, or the more valued you are in society. And a lot of times productivity is connected to work. And so there's a real syndrome that has been defined called superhero syndrome, where somebody takes on more work or more responsibility for various reasons, whether they feel like nobody else can do the task or people are just not good enough, not fast enough, whatever the case may be. And the findings are that this is not sustainable long-term for anyone. It leads to burnout, and it actually not only affects the person doing it, but everyone that's working around them. So it's really important to know what your capabilities are, what your capacity is. Yes, you're probably capable of a lot of things. It just doesn't mean you have the capacity to do them. You're one person and you only work so many hours a week, and one person can only do so much in that allotted time. So keep that in mind, have realistic expectations and goals of yourself. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say, I'm sorry, I'm really busy. I can't take on that task at this time. It's okay to ask for help. These are not signs of weakness. And then a couple of suggestions for things that you can do outside of work to improve work stress and any stress. Sleep was mentioned before with food and hydration. Sleep is really important to your mental and physical health. I know sometimes sleep is hard to come by, so try to do whatever you can to either set times that you know you're going to go get ready for bed. Be cautious of what you do before bed. Don't do anything too stressful or chaotic because that's going to cause difficulty in falling asleep. Make it a comfortable space. Do whatever you need to do to improve your sleep habits. Do activities that you enjoy doing. Obviously, that is going to make you feel good. Even if you're in a place in your life right now where it feels like you don't enjoy anything, you don't have the motivation to do anything, the suggestion is to force yourself to do something that you enjoyed at one time. That's part of the cycle of depression. You know, sometimes when we're feeling stressed, when we're feeling bad, we lose interest, motivation in activities that we enjoy, which in turn makes us feel worse. And it's like a cycle. And so sometimes the antidote of that is forcing yourself to do something that you enjoyed at one point in your life. And more often than not, you'll find that you actually had a good time. It was something that you really enjoyed and that you're more likely to then do it again. To piggyback on what was said before, spend time with people who add value, positive people, get outside. Outside is healing. Nature is healing. I think there's a talk coming up on nature. Vitamin D is important for the body. Do things for others, volunteer, acts of kindness, compliments. There is research that shows that when we do something for somebody else, it improves our mental health and it improves our self-esteem. So that there's benefit to that in multiple ways. Other mindfulness exercises, meditation, journaling is a good outlet for feelings and thoughts. Gratitude, finding gratitude can be really helpful if you find that you're in a negative headspace a lot. Laughing, being creative in any way, cooking, baking, arts and crafts, making music, anything. And then talking to a therapist. Therapists can be beneficial. They can be an unbiased shoulder to lean on. They can maybe point out perspectives that you haven't considered before. They can help with some negative patterns. There's a lot of benefit to seeking therapy. And then finally, I'm going to end with this quote: respect yourself enough to walk away from anything that no longer serves you, grows you, or makes you happy. I think it's just important to say that you can do all of these things. You can do so much more. You can go to therapy. You can be the best at breathing exercises and grounding exercises and all of the things, and still find yourself in a chronically stressful situation that is affecting your mental health, your physical health, and is making you miserable. And so it's really important to consider if walking away is the best option, if finding a new job is the solution. I think another construct in our society from older generations is that you find a job and you work that job for the rest of your life, and whether you like it or not. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can work multiple jobs. You can go from job to job until you find the job that you enjoy doing most. So know that it's okay to walk away. It's okay to find something else. Change is not always bad. Couple just quick resources for anyone. There is a tool to assess if you are burned out. You can go to that website. You can just Google burnout assessment tool. There's two, one for burnout at work, one for burnout in general, in case you're interested or you're not sure if you're burned out or not. 988 is the suicide crisis hotline. Please, 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 if you're ever feeling like you need to talk to somebody and your mental health is not great and you're considering doing something that would harm yourself or someone else, please call this hotline, call crisis at Capitol Health, call someone, anyone. If you're interested in any kind of therapy or psychiatry services, you can call the number on the back of your insurance card to get information on who's in network. A lot of insurance companies have websites, so you can check out the website. Capitol Health Behavioral Health also provides those services. In order to start that process, you would just need a referral from any Capitol Health provider. And then for any Capitol Health employee, I hope you guys know that this program exists, but if not, there's a program that we have called RISE, Resilience in Stressful Events. It's a program for employees to talk about, process, debrief on any stressful event, whether it's with patients, coworkers, departments, anything. They have an on-call hotline. You can call at any time. If they don't answer, they will call you back. And we also help host Tuesday meditations every Tuesday, 12 o'clock over Zoom, 10 minutes. So if you ever find that you're interested in working on your mindfulness or you need a break or you just want to come hang out for 10 minutes, find us on Zoom. And then questions, comments at the end. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Jenna. Wonderful presentation, lots of practical tips.
Thank you.
And we will get started. Let me gonna remove your spotlight. And we're gonna spotlight Maria here.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? And can you see my my screen?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. I want to say the information that Jenna shared with us, I thought was really, really helpful. I actually took some notes too. The breathing exercises, the box breathing, I feel like is a really useful tool. So hopefully you all got some, maybe some strategies or some skills to help with coping with some workday stress. So thank you, Jenna, for that. So yes, I'm Maria Fierst. I'm the Wellness Center Manager here at Capitol Health. Love my job, love what we're able to do for employee and patient, as well as community health and wellness. But today we're going to talk about using movement and exercise. Really, I want to talk to you about how can you fit in wellness and exercise breaks into your workday. That's really what I want to talk about, and the benefits of adding the exercise in throughout your workday for both your body, for health for your body, but also for mental wellness. So let's get started. So exercise breaks have so many benefits. I'm going to start with the mental break. Taking that mental break during the course of your day, and hopefully multiple times during the course of your day, as stress reduction, piggybacking on what all the tools that Jenna gave you. I'm going to really just talk about movement and exercise, but there's such an amazing stress reduction to use exercise. It really will help you avoid mistakes too. So it gives you that break from work, makes you feel better. You have some clarity of thinking, and then after 10 or 15 minutes, go back and sit down at your desk and work. You'll be more productive. Again, it reduces anxiety and blood pressure, improves your quality of sleep, and gives you more control of insulin sensitivity. Jenna had also talked about the increase in endorphins. It's a natural mood booster. And the thing I really love about exercise is it's immediate. So you'll exercise and you feel better. If you do a group exercise class, you have a little bit of that camaraderie with the people that you're working out with. But if you're taking a break with your coworkers, you get that you're making friendships and connections. We have lunchtime classes here. And I always find it makes me so happy when coworkers will make a connection with, oh, you work in IT, I'm having this issue. Oh, can I email you later? It's kind of you're getting a 2-for-1, and you're getting your health and your wellness, and you're getting some work connectivities that actually help in your overall happiness at work. The one thing I did intentionally skip over, which was exercise breaks avoid the sitting disease. And I don't know if you've all heard about the sitting disease, but apparently it's a thing now that's realized with prolonged sitting. It's associated with an increase in many chronic diseases like obesity, cancer, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. So we're looking for multiple short activity breaks during the day. The reason we're saying we want these breaks is, according to the American Heart Association, physically active jobs now make up less than 20% of all jobs in the US workforce. So that means 80% of us are sitting most of our day. So what we need to do is we need to figure out a way to break that sitting up. A typical American, here's one more set. A typical American is sedentary for 21 hours in a day. Yikes, right? That's only 3 hours of movement. So that's really not enough for our bodies. Our bodies they want to move. And there's a cure for the sitting disease. We're gonna move more and we're gonna sit less. And we're gonna talk about that and how we're gonna do that. So weekly goals. I always like people to think about, what's your week look like? Say on a Sunday night, you're looking at your week ahead. Maybe you're thinking about what appointments you have, maybe presentations. But I want you to also think about, where can I get exercise into my schedule for the week? So 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity. So that is, say for 10 or 15 minutes, you're walking at a pace where your heart rate's pumping. If you were walking with somebody, they can hear you breathing a little bit, but you can still talk. Like that's moderate intensity activity. We're trying to get the heart rate up in that kind of training level. And we want to keep it up there for at least 150 minutes per week, which can be broken down into different segments. Actually, ideally, we would like it broken down into most days. Most days you're maybe doing something for 20 or 30 minutes of cardio training. So that could be, if you work in a building that has stairs, it could be a stair break. It could be a walk outside. That weather was beautiful today. I do try to practice what I preach. I did get up from my desk and go out for a 15-minute walk this afternoon. Or it can be an in-place workout. So a place like right where you work out. And we're actually going to do an little 10-minute exercise at your desk workout when I'm finished talking. I hope you all will stand up and join me. So 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity a week and 2 days of muscle strengthening workouts a week. Okay. This is the standard as per the CDC, the American Cancer Society, the American Diabetes Association, and the American Heart Association. Everybody uses this standard now of 150 minutes or more of moderate intensity activity plus 2 muscle strengthening workouts. So that can be body weight exercises, dumbbells. If you belong to a gym, you can use strength machines. But I want you to think about, how can we get this amount of exercise into our week? And that, again, the moderate intensity aerobic activity, you can do that in 10-minute increments throughout the day. So hopefully that's what I'd like you to start planning for yourself. So how do we do this at work? So at work, we want to see where we can integrate physical activity into meetings or gatherings. We do some virtual workouts at Capitol Health. If you don't work at Capitol Health, you can hopefully try something this at your work or your place of employment. We do a 2 o'clock stretch break on Zoom Monday through Thursday, where the employees can just log in and do a little stretch. They can be in their chair. Some groups get together, they'll get together in a cubicle or a break room. And we also do on-site little exercises. So they're literally exercise breaks where we'll go to a department and do a break. Again, like having management support is really, really important. If you are a manager, I would like for you to think about how can you incorporate exercise or exercise breaks into your routine and encourage your employees to get up and move their bodies a couple times a day. Or find a break leader, somebody who says, oh, I can be that person where, you know, at 10 o'clock, we're going to take a 10-minute break and that person can lead a little stretch. So you can do it in a group, you can do it individually on your own. You could have a meeting and go for a walk. If you were just needing to meet with one person or two people to do a planned walk, either inside or outside, and talk through whatever you were doing with your, for your meeting. You also can create a department challenge. We just finished up a stair climbing club where we gave kind of little trinkets for reaching 100 flights of stairs. In a week, I think that was what they were trying to do. So 10 flights of stairs a day was about what people were trying to reach. But you can come up with any kind of challenge like that. That again, like creates excitement and gets people smiling and laughing at work and helps build friendships kind of outside the technicality of work, but while you're working. I think that's really, really important. So I want you to still think about how can I move more? How much am I moving throughout the day? And how can I incorporate this into my work life? So with that, I'm going to take you through this workout right now. You can, if you want, put your cameras on if Marcia says that that's okay. I am going to, if you want to take a picture of this right now, you can take a picture because I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can see me a little bit bigger. Okay.
I'm fine with people if they want to put their videos on. I'm going to actually keep mine off because I don't have a great space in the room I'm at.
Okay.
To put my video on, but
That's fine.
But I will be doing it, and if others would like to do that,
Okay.
that's fine.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can see me for the exercise portion. Okay, so I'm going to stand up. Hopefully everybody stands up with me. We're going to start with our upper body. We're going to do a little bit of some arm circles, but we're going to do one at a time like you're swimming. So like you're doing a freestyle swim. Again, if you're in a very tight corner, you can just do shoulder rolls. We're going to reverse that. So like we're doing a backstroke, I want you to do a little bit of a torso twist as you go. Nice. And we're going to move to some knee pulls. So nice and easy. Pull up one knee at a time. When you're doing knee pulls like this, if you do them slower, you're working your balance too. Anytime you can get onto one foot, you're working your balance. And from here, we're just going to kick back. I want you to flex your foot. We're doing a hamstring curl here. So this is just an example of, give you an idea of some things that you can do right at your desk. Okay, we're gonna do a little bit of a torso twist. I want you to pivot. I know you can't see my foot, but I'm pivoting that foot that's behind me. So we're not twisting at the knee. We pivot that foot, so we're twisting at the hip. And a couple more. Nicely done. Okay, we're going to work on opening up the shoulders and the back. I want you to put your hands out in front of you. Your elbows are soft. We're going to open, we're going to squeeze our shoulder blades together in the back. Squeeze, squeeze, kind of getting you out of that position that we spend so much time in. This one feels really good. You want to try to squeeze those shoulder blades together each time you pull back. I'll do 3, 2, and 1. Okay, we're going to go shoulder width apart with our feet. Some people like their toes at 11 and 1. If you can picture that on a clock. We're going to go right into a squat here. I want you to pretend like you have a chair behind you and your hips are going back and up, down and up. Hips are going back. Knees stay right over your shoes. Okay. I don't know if you can hear, I got a little click every time I come up. We all have our little things that our bodies like to do. Let's do 3 more. 3, 2, and 1. Okay. We're going to do a bent arm shoulder raise. So right from here, we're going to go up, pull down, press up, pull down, press up. Squeeze those shoulders as you come down. Three, 2, and 1. Okay, we're going to do a static lunge. So your feet are hip width apart. And we're just going to bend the back knee and just drop down and come up and down and up, down and up. You're pressing through that front heel. So that's activating the glute a little bit more. We want that glute to do as much work as it can. Let's do 1 more. Good. And we're going to switch legs. Okay. Drop that back knee so you're staying kind of standing up tall. Two more. Good. So I have 1 more exercise and then we're going to stretch. The last one is a push-up. I'm not going to do a push-up from my desk, but I could, but I'd have my face right in your face. So I'm going to do it from the wall here. Okay, so you want to get into a straight position with your body and you're just going to come into I'm pushing on the door and back. You can do this from your desk. You can do it from the floor. So anywhere and anyhow, depending on what your capability is and what your area, if you're in your work area, what you're able to do. Let's do 3 more. 3, 2, and 1. Good. So let's stretch those hips out. I have my feet nice and wide here. We're just gonna go side to side. So you wanna press your hips back each time, so that the knees are staying over the toes, not going past the toes. If you press those hips back as far as you can, you should feel that inner thigh stretch. It should feel good. It shouldn't hurt. Just you're going far enough that you just feel that nice stretch each time. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so let's stretch the chest out. There's a couple exercises that I always say if you don't have any time to do anything and you're sitting in your chair, there's a couple that I would do, and this one is one of them. We sit a lot, right? Over 80% of us are sitting at jobs. These pectoral muscles get tight when we are on our phones, at our desk, reading a book, and it causes the back to curve. So we want to stretch this area out to help with the back. So what I want you to do is take your hands, you're going to clasp them behind you. I want you to look up to the ceiling, okay? I want you to squeeze your elbows towards each other, pressing your hands down towards the floor. And I want you just to make sure your shoulders are nice and relaxed and down. And you're just trying to open up the chest and those shoulders. So breathe. You're breathing your normal breath as you're stretching. Always be mindful of your breath when you're doing exercises, but definitely stretching, people many times will tend to hold their breath just because they're concentrating. But that doesn't help with your relaxation. So make sure you're always thinking about, I have a nice, easy, getting nice, easy, deep breaths in and out. Okay, from here, we're going to do a calf stretch. You're going to put one heel down. You can either lean forward, you can hold onto your desk or a wall and press that heel down into the ground, into the floor. So posteriorly, we get tight when we're sitting. Hamstrings, calf muscles get really tight. Let's switch your feet. So switch to the other leg. So stretching out what I had said, the front of the chest, but also hamstring and calf after you've been sitting for a long time is really important. Many times when we feel lower back strain, the culprit can be a tight hamstring. So if you've been sitting for a while, you want to get up and move a little bit and stretch a little bit. And I'd love for you to do it a couple times a day. All right, come on up. We're going to stretch out the side. So we're going to grab one wrist. We're going to stretch all the way over until you feel that nice stretch all through your side, under the armpit, all the way down to your hip. And switch sides. And relax. We're going to stretch the front of the quad. You can hold on, grab an ankle. If this is not as difficult for you, if you have a knee issue or arthritis, you can always put your foot on a chair or a lower, like a trash can in your office, just to get that front of the quad stretched out. And let's switch sides. So ideally you want that knee pointing straight down. The stretch always feels so good. Okay, we're gonna move just to the top of our body now. So just some nice big shoulder rolls. Again, this is something you can do at your desk, even if you don't have time to take a break, but you can do a few shoulder rolls. You can do some box breathing. We're going to finish with a neck stretch. You can do a neck stretch. Let's reverse that rotation. And let's take a break. So we'll finish with the neck. I want you to go ear to shoulder. I want you to grab the opposite wrist behind you and just gently pull that opposite shoulder down. And just relax in this stretch. Make sure you're breathing. And you may feel that you'll find from one side to the other is might be tighter than the, you know, one side might be tighter than the other. That's normal. Sometimes that just has to do with how you sleep. I want you to keep your head down here, and I want you to rotate your chin down and over towards your shoulder. So now you're looking down at the floor on an angle, and just relax into that stretch. And bring your head up, and we'll switch sides, switch your wrist grip behind you. And breathe. And take that chin, rotate it down and over towards your shoulder, so you're looking down at the floor on an angle. And bring your head up, relax your arms. We're going to finish up with some nice slow head rotations. So nice and slow, go as big as you're comfortable. You might hear some crunchiness here. Most people do, but I will say, if you do this often, your neck will loosen and the sounds will diminish some. Maybe not all the way. Let's reverse that. Maybe not completely, but if you do this on a regular basis, I promise you, you will hear a difference. And with that, that's just a little sample. You can pick and choose from those exercises for things that you might want to incorporate into your exercise regime at work that you're going to start tomorrow. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you very much, Maria. Wonderful. Both talks were really terrific. We will take some questions now. I know somebody had asked if they could watch this afterwards, so I just copied and pasted in the recording link. It usually takes about a week or two for those to be posted, but then you would be able to watch the presentations again. But we have some time now. Also, just a reminder, if you can complete the evaluation survey, I put that in the chat box, a little bit higher up, probably in your chat box. I can do that again. I will stay around for a little bit so that you have an opportunity to complete that. We would really, really appreciate it. As I said before, I get suggestions for future programs from it. And of course, we want to see what hear what you thought about the program. And so if you would like, we have some time for questions, and I'm going to just recopy and paste that survey here. Anybody? I see that everyone is still pretty much on. So please feel free to take this time to, we have Maria and Jenna. I'd be happy to answer your questions. Anybody? Well, if no questions, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Thank you to our wonderful speakers. Thanks for joining us. We actually have a program next week on lifting your spirits by spending time in nature. So if you want to kind of build on this, we have someone from Bowman's Hill Wildflower Preserve coming, and also someone from our behavioral health staff coming. So that should also be a really nice program. It's Wednesday, the 20th at 6 o'clock.